Hello, how are you? I am back again because today I want to share 5 podcasts I've been loving this week. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to probably even more at the moment now that we're in lockdown, just because I've got time on my hands. My boyfriend is still working like solidly. He hasn't been furloughed, so he is knee deep in work. So I have got a lot of alone time. Yeah, I just really enjoy podcasts. So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and these are 5 that really stood out to me this week. So the first one I want to recommend is Grounded with Louis Theroux. He has started a new podcast. It is obviously him in lockdown talking to people. It's really good. It's really good. I mean, what can I say? It's great. It's Louis Theroux. I've been kind of waiting for a Louis Theroux podcast, and this is really good. The first episode is a conversation with him and Jon Ronson, who, like, they're kind of the same, let's be honest. They're kind of like brothers from another mother. They're kind of the same person. They're peas in a pod. You don't normally hear them talking to each other. So it was really interesting to hear them talk to each other. Yeah, it was really interesting actually. And I would highly recommend listening, and I really enjoyed listening to it, and it was really honest and really good, and yeah, just a great podcast. And he also did an episode with Boy George, which I also loved. I find Boy George a really interesting person. His book, Take It Like a Man, I loved, and yeah, just a really interesting conversation, and yeah, I really liked it. There's only been 2 episodes so far, but both have been great. I would probably say listen to the Jon Ronson one first, because you never really get the opportunity to hear Louis Theroux and Jon Ronson chat. Like, I didn't think they were allowed to be in the same room as each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems odd to hear them talk, but it was really good and I really liked it. So that is my first one. The next one was an episode that I've already listened to, I think a couple of times. This is not my first time listening. This is probably about my 3rd or 4th time listening, but I just needed something quite fun and comforting, and something that I knew I'd really enjoy. And sometimes I just really like revisiting the same albums, the same films, the same things, and I just really wanted to listen to this, and it was Mystery Show, and it was the episode Source Code. It's really fun, it's really good. I laughed out loud. And yeah, it was just really wonderful, and I loved the episode the first time, I loved it the second time, I loved it the 3rd time, and yep, I loved it the 4th time, which was this week. It's just a really great episode of a wonderful podcast. So if you haven't listened to Mystery Show, you should. It's a very old podcast, no longer exists, but it is still on the iTunes app, and it's really good. So listen to Source Code. The next one I listened to was This American Life. I listened to 2 episodes this week. I listened to one which was an old episode. It was episode 186, Prom, which was stories of prom night, and it even had an interview with Francine Pascal, the creator of Sweet Valley High and Sweet Valley Twins, Sweet Valley Kids, Sweet Valley University, Francine Pascal, Sweet Valley woman. It was an interview with her all about proms, which was really fun and really interesting, and I loved that. And there was also a story of a prom that happened with a tornado. You gotta listen, it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I haven't obviously ever been to prom because we don't really have them in the UK, but I am of course well versed in proms from TV. So I really enjoyed that episode, and I also really enjoyed episode 699, which popped up in my feed, and it was called Fiasco, and it was just about fiascos, and it was hilarious, and I laughed the whole way through. I was taking photos and I had to keep stopping to laugh because it was just so ridiculous and so funny and just really well done, and a really fun podcast. It was just a very good use of an hour. The next one I really enjoyed listening to was Filling the Void. This is a podcast about hobbies, and I've listened to this episode as well, but I wanted to revisit something that I knew would be really fun. This was the episode which was called Painting with Lena Dunham, and they painted together and they had a really fun chat, and I I really enjoyed it, and it was just a really good podcast to... What was I doing while I listened? I think I was like editing images. It was something that I kind of wanted a background friend with, but I kind of wanted to listen, but I kind of wanted to concentrate on something else. I don't really know, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. And again, not my first time listening, but second time round, it was still such a joy. And then finally, the last thing I listened to was You Must Remember This, and I listened to the full, I'm not joking, the full Dead Blonde series on that podcast. I really enjoyed it. I think I'd listened to, one episode before, but maybe like 2 years ago, and I never listened to the rest of them, so I finally went back, listened to them all in their entirety. It's just basically about famous Hollywood women from yesteryear, so Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe, Peg Entwistle, I can't even remember who else. There was a lot of episodes, I think 9 in total, and I think 3 of them were on Marilyn Monroe, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't ever listened to You Must Remember This, you should. It's very good. It's all about like the golden age of Hollywood, and it's a crazy old world in there, you know, it's crazy. Anyway, it was a really good series. I really enjoyed it. I plan to only listen to like maybe 2 of the episodes, and I listened to like all 9 and I loved them. So highly recommended if you are looking for a little series to binge. Anyway, they are 5, but possibly kind of more podcasts I loved this week. Technically it's 5, but then I kind of mentioned more like 15. What can I say? I had a lot of my time on my hands this week. Anyway, if you are looking for some podcasts to listen to this weekend, I highly recommend all of those. And dear Lord, can somebody get me a fringe trim? Anyway, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.